Hello, writers, and welcome to session 7 of the Write That Book Now writing course. And 2 sessions ago, session 5, we talked about story structure, and I gave you 7 story structures. So just as a reminder to you and to me, we had Freytag's Pyramid, we had the Hero's Journey from Joseph Campbell, we had the 3-act structure, the very simple one, we had Fitchian Curve, the in medias res. We had the 7-point story structure, a mediumly simple one, and we had Save the Cat, which is often used for movies. So that's all very well. However, structure is not a word that for those of us who are what we call pansters, we don't like planning. It's just not how we're built. Some would say that I am soft-wired for planning. Structure and planning are not words that come easily. So for a pantster, for someone who finds it difficult just to do planning, we'd rather just rush in and do it. See what happens as we go. Trial and error. Often lots of trial and lots of error. So that's the way some of us write, and that's very normal. So thinking about these structures that I just gave you, the 7, and just choosing one, sometimes it can just seem so big and too ethereal and too impractical. I want them to know what to do right now. What next? What next? What next? So I'll give you that. I'll give you something really simple to do right now, today, and then you can whip up a story structure to beat the band, let's say. So, first thing, get a piece of paper, get a pen or a pencil or something to write with. Crayon, paints, I don't care. Any color. A piece of paper, blank piece of paper, and draw a circle in the middle. Now let's choose for your story a theme. So if it's, say, a Liam Neeson thriller, it might be Someone Stole My Daughter or Someone Stole My Wife. That might be the theme. Gotta find her. If it's a romantic comedy, it might be, say, something like the My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So it might be How Cultures Clash When Love Arrives, or something like that. How do we deal with that? So that might be the theme. If it's your memoir, you might have had a very dysfunctional family, so it might be about family dysfunction. That might be the theme. Or working through family dysfunction might be a more constructive theme. Or you might have a very loving and strong family ties and that sort of way you've been brought up. So maybe it's about, let's say, how love endures hardship. So let's just choose that for now. So we do a circle, we write in the middle, how love endures hardship. And now we start writing around the outside, just some themes or subtopics. And so the first thing that might come to mind is Nancy and Ken. They don't know who they are. Neighbours, uncle and aunt. So maybe they're a couple who've gone through hardship, but they're still in love with each other. They still respect and honour each other and their children and the world and. So maybe they're a living example of love enduring, love surviving hardship. And another thing might have happened. Somebody might have had cancer. But because of the love, because of the support from everybody, the cancer's either been cured or someone's come to acceptance of it. And so that's helped in some way. Maybe there's been bankruptcy. And despite huge financial loss, the love that's enduring through this trauma has kept everyone together. Or maybe it's your parents who've survived incredible odds. And they're still together, they still honour each other, they still honour their children, and they still honour their grandchildren. I don't know. Whatever your story is. Maybe it's losing Rex. I don't know who Rex is. I just made him up. Maybe it's a dog. Maybe it's a cat. Maybe it's a pet llama. It might be a brother. I don't know. And the loss of that might have brought up how much love we have for each other and how love has endured that loss. So we just start writing we've got our core story, which is how love endures hardship. And then what are the things that come off that? that for your story. So you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or 8, whatever number. And I'm suggesting that you might like to start this today and maybe put it aside, because when you're mowing the lawn or on the toilet or talking to somebody or having a swim, you might, oh, hang on. And then you might remember another one. You might remember another one. I'm not suggesting you have lots and lots. I'm thinking 5 to 8 is probably a good number. Entirely up to you. Let's not get too complicated right now. We're just doing the broad brush, looking at it. So we've got our core, how love endures hardship, and then outside we've got Rex and Nancy and Mum and Dad and bankruptcy and all of that sort of stuff. So we've now got a list of the main subtopics. And of course, we will get more and more complicated or more detail as we get into it. But let's just stay with those, whatever it is, 5 or 6 I think we've got. So now we're obviously going to have an introduction, and we'll have a conclusion at the end, and then we'll have these 5 topics in between that. So the introduction will be 1. So we can start numbering them. And that's a purely intuitive thing. What feels right to start with, maybe Rex and, who do I say? Nancy and Ken. I don't know, might start with them. And maybe we then move on to Mum and Dad, their journey. And maybe then we talk about the bankruptcy. And then maybe we talk about losing Rex and then the cancer. And then we'll have a conclusion. And that's our sort of broad brush book. So that's one idea. Another one might be kind of like an opposite family. I just dreamed another one up, which is about a dysfunctional family and how the dysfunction affects everybody, including down the generations. And maybe your story is about how you broke the chain, how you stopped the generational dysfunction. So maybe you want to talk about those dysfunctions and then come to a conclusion at the end about how you got through it. So when you're thinking about dysfunctions, you might suddenly go, oh, the family Christmases were just dreadful. There was always fights. There was always people couldn't come. And always, no, it wasn't what you wanted. Family Christmases might be one theme. What else have we got? Maybe we've got anger in our family and it's not been dealt with. It's not been constructively worked through. So anger might be kind of like a generational family thing. What else could we have? I've got health issues here resulting from abuse or from dysfunctional family relationships. There might be financial issues resulting from these dysfunctions. There might be, what else? The effect on the grandchildren and the idea that your grandchildren could end up with being infected, if you like, by these dysfunctions. And that might have inspired this book, because you're determined to find a way through this and to cut the chain and start reinventing your family in a functional way. And so this might be the point of the book. And of course, so that will probably come in as a conclusion. So that's the final answer, the yippee. Might be number 7. So anyway, put them in, put the core in, dysfunctional family, and then you've got Christmases, and then you've got grandchildren and whatever else was there, anger and health issues and all financial issues and so on. And then start numbering them, whatever order, whatever number. And then we can put them into a structure. So that's the basic structure. Simple circle, a word in the middle, or 2 or 3 or 4 words in the middle, and 5 to 8 around the outside for now. So the next step is to do some numbers. Oh no, not numbers! Us non-structural people, we don't like numbers. Anyway, okay, so I'll keep it simple, very simple. So the average book nowadays, I guess, is something like 50 to 80,000 words. So let's just decide that ours is going to be 70. Of course, it won't be exactly 70, but let's just make a number to give us something to work with. So let us start with, let's say we have an introduction of 5,000 words and a conclusion of 5,000 words. What's left? 60. So we're just going to have, excuse me, a conclusion, a body of what's left, 60,000 words. So we've got 70,000 words. Intro, body, conclusion. That's simple. And now we can just get a little more detail because we've got our circle with the topics around it. We can fit them into our current structure. So we can say each chapter or section, maybe each section, because a section might be several chapters. It might be one chapter, it might be several. It doesn't matter. We're not necessarily worrying about chapters. Let's call them sections. So we might have A as the introduction, 5,000 words. B might be idea 2 on from your circle. Let's say a wild guess, we're going to make that about 15,000 words. And C will be idea 2. There might be a few more. A bit more we've got to say about that. Let's call it 20,000 words. And let's just keep it simple. We'll say we've only got 3 ideas at the moment. So D is idea 3, and we've got 25,000 words. And then our conclusion is another 5,000 words, which is, it might be the yippee moment that we came across for the last one. Total 70,000 words. So that's a nice, easy way of looking at the numbers. Keeping it simple. So we'll just hold that thought, write it down, hold the thought, and then we can think about how do we structure each chapter. One of the ways, there's several ways of doing it, of course, but there's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Veni, Vedi, Vici. We tend to like things in threes. And so what we can do with each chapter is kind of decide on a threefold paradigm or a pattern for each chapter. So it might be we're trying to find, we go on an exploration for an answer. We've got a problem. It might be the family dysfunction. So we're looking for an explanation. It might be bringing up the problem. And then we find an answer. And then from that answer, we then find another question. And that might be the structure of each chapter, say. We look for an answer to a question, we find the answer, and then that spurns another question. So we have question, answer, question. Question, answer, question. Question, answer, question. How simple. Or we might put that in other words. It might be question, answer, new question. Question, answer, new question. Or it might be problem, solution, new problem. Problem, solution, new problem, ad infinitum. Or it might be struggle, relief, struggle. Often romantic comedies are all about that, aren't they? Things go wrong and then they go right. And then they go wrong. So struggle, relief, struggle, struggle, relief, struggle. Or another way of putting it is we have curiosity, satiation, curiosity. Curiosity, satiation, curiosity. We might be looking at some theoretical thing. We're curious about something. Oh, we find a solution. We're satisfied, satiation. And then we go curiously on about something else. So that's about as complicated as we actually need to be when we're doing structure. So we've got the overall plan of our 70,000 words, and then we've got a sort of a mini paradigm, if you like, a mini pattern for each chapter. And we know what each of those chapters or sections are going to be about. So that actually can be done in about 10 minutes. And that would suit all of us non-structuralists down to a T. So I invite you to whip up a structure today, email it to me, and see how it feels just to do that structure, because the thought of it, it's like the dentist. Thinking about it's always worse than the actual thing, particularly nowadays with all the anesthetics that they have. And I know about that. I just had a crown done and a root canal. And thinking about it's the worst bit. Once we get that little structure down, it's just a huge relief. So what I'm suggesting you do is create a book structure, a story structure using the circle and the spokes, and then the chapters, and then a little reflection. How does that feel doing it? Let me know. Is it a great relief? I'm hoping it is, because that's the aim of this. So I'm looking forward to hearing back from you, and I wish you all the best with your writing. Enjoy.